salute. I'm your host, Chris Budihas, and joining me virtually is Brian Bruggerman, my old roommate from the basic school, who's working now with Teledyne FLIR Defense. Brian, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you look good. You don't even have one gray hair at all. You haven't even aged.
Oh, they're in there. They're in
Yeah.
there.
Well, hey, first of all, Brian, thanks for taking time. Second of all, thanks for your service. Thank for your service to our nation, you and your family. So, tell us a little bit about you. You know, where you from, what you do in the Marine Corps, and let's talk about your post-military transition and what you've done in your journey into the corporate world.
Yeah, absolutely. And likewise, Chris, thanks for your service as well. And thanks for having me here.
Absolutely.
I grew up in Northeast Ohio in a town called Cuyahoga Falls, and which makes me a lifelong Cleveland sports fan. So that's kind of jaded me throughout my lifetime, for good and for mostly bad. But I ended up going to the Naval Academy out of high school, and through that process, figured out that I definitely saw the Marine Corps as my future, vice the U.S. Navy. No offense to the U.S. Navy, but the Marine Corps just did things, and the way that they led just really resonated with me.
Yeah.
So my career in the Marine Corps, I spent most of my career flying attack helicopters on the East Coast at a Marine Corps Air Station New River with HMLA 167. But before that, actually out of the basic school, I was an artillery officer. And I did a tour in Okinawa as an artillery officer in 3rd Battalion, 12th Marines.
Yep.
Absolutely loved it. And when it came time to go to a B billet or some other non-fleet related billet, I asked if I could go to flight school, and I was lucky enough to do that.
Awesome.
So my career kind of culminated as a commanding officer of First Air Naval Gunfire Liaison Company, or First Anglico. Yep. Which is a perfect combination of my aviation experience with my artillery experience and just a bunch of fire support Marines going out there and leveraging Marine Corps fires for joint allied and coalition forces. So I served for 23 years, got out from the Pentagon tour, and it's been about 7 years since that happened.
Wow, that's great. And so when you were leaving, you're leaving service, what was your vision kind of coming out? What do you think you were going to do, and what you end up doing, and what's that journey been like? Has it been all positive? You learned some things along the way. What would you pass on?
Yeah, I've definitely learned some things along the way. Not all positive, but I mean it's been a great experience. I really wouldn't change much because of what I've learned along the way.
Yeah.
When I got out of the Marine Corps, I was selected for full bird colonel, but I decided that it was, for my family, it wasn't the best time to keep on going. So when I got out of the Marine Corps, I really kind of wanted to prove to myself and maybe others that I made the right decision, because that's not a very popular decision to make at that stage in your career.
Yeah.
So I ended up taking a job with a company. It was a great company, but it put me with a bunch of people I had no connection with. I was doing most of my work up in Minnesota, a place that was foreign to me.
Yeah.
And in an industry I really had no familiarization with at all. And I kind of proceeded along with the idea that, I'm a Marine officer, I can do anything. And that job was tough just because I found myself, and I put myself there in a very foreign location, with no network, and doing something that I really, never really received any training to do. It took me about 6 months before I realized, like, hey, there's got to be a better life than this. I was on a plane a lot to Minnesota, so I decided to move on from that job. Took my lumps, and then I did a very deliberate, almost second search. And I ended up at a federally funded research and development center called MITRE, where, I was back in the DC area. That's where I live now. And I was talking about Navy and Marine Corps topics. And I knew people there that were part of my network from when I was still in uniform. And I was like, man, that really means a lot. So when I talk to people now who are going through the retirement or getting out of the service, I say, hey, don't let your hubris get the best of you. You can take a job that may be a little less sexy, but make sure it's with the right people doing the right things in the right location, and you'll always have more time to decide where you want to go from there. Don't put yourself in a complete different silo because you get lonely really quick.
Well, it's funny. I've seen a lot of folks leave a uniform. They want to reinvent themselves, and some do it very successfully. Obviously, they're putting a lot of calories in to do that. And then others, they kind of do that full circle and they realize, hey, this is probably something I'm better suited for. And in many cases, unfortunately, I think more on the officer side, they look for that big paycheck, right? That's how I evaluate my self-worth. And they realize they don't like the culture, they don't like what they're doing. And so most will figure like, hey, I'd rather make a little bit of pay and have the right fit with the right company. And kind of like we did when we were in uniform, wake up in the morning excited about going to work, and you should have the same excitement in your post-military career.
Yeah, I fell into that trap a bit, but, I like to, make it about sports. I wanted to hit a home run right off the bat, right? And the thing is that at that stage of retirement, you don't know what a home run looks like. You have no idea. So, hit a solid single, get on base, and then, learn. And it's always amazed me, what a home run then turned into based upon what I thought when I first retired versus say 18 months, 24 months down the road.
Awesome. Hey, Brian, again, good to see you. Thanks for your service to our nation, and thanks for all your advice. It strikes a chord. I've seen that with a number of veterans, and even some of my own exploratory, as I kind of figure out my azimuth out of uniform, I kind of taken on a lot of the good advice you passed to me when we met last. So thanks again. Hey, folks, if you like what you see here and like what you hear, please follow us on LinkedIn. In addition, hey, thanks to Operation Barnabas for supporting today's segment. Great nonprofit helping veterans with a hand up, not a handout. Check them out at operationbarnabas.com. Skip that latte on Monday and probably maybe get $5 or so to Operation Barnabas to help out that veteran community in need. See you in our next segment.
Operation Barnabas is a veterans ministry, started in 2017 with the purpose of helping our veterans that kind of got left behind.
These people went over and went to war for us, and a lot of their friends didn't come back, and that's a lot of the stuff that we as veterans deal with is there's a lot of people that didn't make it back, and then it's like, why are we here? So and then they isolate. And they've struggled with addictions, PTSD, suicidal thoughts, those kind of things, helping them get whole again through one-to-one mentorship. So being able to communicate with them and help them can drastically change their life, can drastically change a family's life. The little that we can do is put our hand out and say, hey, do you want a hand up? Like, we're not giving a hand out. Do you want a hand up? And just be able to be there with them and do life with them and just be able to help them, because, man, they put their life on the line for you and me.